There goes Canada Post. That's what they dropped off for me. Well, that's a fun start to the day. So my goal for today was to make a video. But now this is here, and all I want to do is play with it. So instead, I'm gonna make myself get a video done, and when the video's done, I'm gonna let myself play with this. So today, I'm going to design from beginning to end one of these. Let's start designing. So the design of today is inspired by some of the past LED wearable projects I've done. So this is one of the LED assemblies of one of the helmets we make, and visibility is great. So you can see through it really well. The problem is that as soon as you put a piece of glass or acrylic or a lens in front of it, a lot of the light from these LEDs bounces off that lens and comes right back at you. So visibility is excellent through the assembly, but then as soon as you put a lens on it in a dark room, your visibility goes downhill. So the idea was, what if we just did like a pair of glasses or something, and rather than having a lens on the glasses, you're just looking between the LEDs, kind of like I call them Kanye glasses, back from the slits from when Kanye West kind of made those famous. There'll be a picture on the screen, but the glasses don't have a lens; they just have the horizontal slits. But I thought, why do slits when you could do like a heart or something else? And thinking maybe they could be a cool thing to bring to a music festival or something. So yeah, that's kind of the initial thought, the initial concept of this. But I'm not like an ergonomics designer. I don't know how to design stuff that fits well. So we're going to trade to another pair of glasses. These are some sunglasses that fit really well, that, they're kind of like a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So to start, we're actually gonna make a grid, which is just gonna be a matter of like making an image that has known dimensions on it, so that we can photograph a real thing on that grid and get real dimensions out of it. So it allows you to get real objects into a computer really accurately or fairly accurately without having to mess with scanning and all that other stuff. So let's get into it. Well, that definitely lived up to expectations. So now that a little bit of time has passed and our circuit boards have arrived from the manufacturer, it's time to turn our design into something you can actually wear. All right, looks like the print is done. Big day. Got 3 crates in, 2 of which I've already opened up. All right, now that these are done, we need to start making them do crazy animation stuff. But to do that, first we have to upload the software onto them, which we've done. That's what these two flashing red lights are. It's basically our software saying there's no memory card in these glasses. But if I was to put a memory card in them right now, we just get another error message because we don't have any animations for these glasses yet because the software doesn't know where these pixels are in space. So to do that, we start with the template. So we make something that looks like these, but has a bunch of dots where the pixels are so we can use that to make an animation. So if we look at the screen, we already have that. So this is our template. It's basically a location-accurate two-dimensional image of these glasses, but every rectangle, every white rectangle you see here is actually a hole. So it's a transparent rectangle. That way you can run animations behind it and you can see what it would look like if it was an actual pair of glasses. So it's a digital version of what I have on my face. If that doesn't make sense, it will in a second. So we're gonna jump right into After Effects. This is the software that I prefer to use. You can use any video editing software, any animation software, but this is the software I'm most familiar with. So we're gonna make a new composition, and this template is 640 pixels wide by 360 pixels tall. So those are the settings we're gonna use. And then the background color, we're just gonna choose something other than black so that we can see all those holes in the mask so that it'll make it easier to design the animation. So that's all we have to do. And then lastly, our frame rate and our length. So I'm gonna do 3 beats. And I'm gonna say that, so if you imagine it's like beating to the music, I'm gonna make 3 beats. I'm kind of thinking like left eye, right eye, both eyes, and then it repeats. So 1 second per beat, 3 seconds. So let's do that and jump right in. I'm gonna click and drag the heart template into our composition, and now you can see that blue poking through, so that's every hole, every blue poking through is an LED. So now we can get started. And I'm gonna just do something that's just a straight line that stretches out over one eye and then shrinks again. So to do that, I'm gonna start with just a rectangle. So I'm gonna make sure nothing is selected, grab my rectangle tool, start below everything and go above everything. And there we go, I've got a nice clean rectangle. So now the next thing I'm gonna do is move my anchor. So when you select an item, so if I go back and select that again, see this anchor tool over here, this little anchor mark? That's where it's going to expand from. And I don't want it expanding from there, I want it expanding from the center of this line. So I'm gonna grab my move anchor tool, grab that and move him right into the center of my part. So let's zoom in here, make sure we get it just right, and move it center. You can also see here, see how the edge isn't a perfect line? It's kind of gray. This button down here fixes that. And that's just it's nearest neighbor. It basically makes sure that there can't be any transparency. It's either on or it's off. So now that that's solved, I see that this isn't quite centered. So we're gonna move him to the right a couple pixels. There we go, nice and centered now. And now we start the animation process. So I want this to happen over 1 beat, which I'm calling a second in animation land. So I'm gonna take this guy and make him only 1 second long. And I want him to be stretching and shrinking. So I'm gonna go into my transform and I'm going to do scale. I'm gonna hit the little stopwatch there, which is gonna drop a keyframe on frame 1 or 0. And then I'm gonna turn off the locking here. And if I go over to 15 frames, is this X or Y? There we go, that's what I'm looking for. So I want this to stretch out to cover everything at 15 frames. And then when we get back to the last frame here, I want it to shrink down to basically nothing. But it's probably not gonna shrink to actually nothing because I have nearest neighbor on. It's probably gonna shrink to 1 pixel. So what I'll do to get around that is I'll go back yet 1 more frame and I will turn on the stopwatch for opacity, and then I will go forward 1 frame and set opacity to 0. So now it's actually turning off on the last frame. So now if we zoom out and play that back from the top, it gets big, it gets small, it disappears. And if I take my heart template and I put it on top, now you can see what I'm talking about where it appears, you're seeing what the pixels are gonna do. And if I go up to composition settings, I don't really need those holes anymore. So I'm gonna set this to black. And now you can't see through the holes, so now it'll be really clear. It grows, it shrinks, it disappears. That's what I'm looking for. But I don't wanna do just the left eye. I wanna do the left eye then the right eye, then I want it to mirror. So to do that, I want to be able to see those holes again. So this time, let's set the background color to red. Why not? Okay, so now we can see them again. And I don't want to mess around because when you move an animated piece, it can be kind of, for beginners, it can be confusing whether the keyframes are moving with it. So to make it simple, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this file, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it. So now I've got two of them. This one I'm going to move in time, but not in space. So nothing, it's basically just doing the same thing twice now. But now, instead of opening it up and looking at all the keyframes, see how they're reappearing, the same ones that are down here. Instead of messing with that, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pre-compose it. So now I'm basically taking everything that existed inside that frame and I'm making it just one entity that can be moved on its own. So now I can take that, copy it, and paste it, and now I've just got a thing that is, you know, basically I've just got one animation, or one block that contains all those keyframes and everything inside it, so that now I've got it happening on 3 times, always on the left eye. So now I can take the middle one, go in the middle time, grab this guy, I'm gonna turn off actually instead of turning it off, I'm gonna bring it to the bottom so that I can see, so it's on top. And I'm gonna go to a frame where there's not a lot left, and that will allow me to move it and still see whether or not it's centered. So we'll grab this, and if I hold shift, it only moves in straight lines. So get it nice and centered there, brilliant. And now I've got left, right, left. But I don't want left, right, left, I want left, right, both. And I could just copy that and have another one on the right, but instead I'll do another trick. Because when you do really complicated movements on one eye, you don't want to have to do that same thing twice. So I like to just get one eye perfect and then I mirror it. So I can just grab this last one here and I go up to Effect, Distort, Mirror, and then I tell it where halfway is. So this file isn't quite perfect. In a perfect world, half of 640 would be 320. I happen to know that 321 for this animation gets me pretty darn close, and maybe I was wrong there. Maybe I do need to fudge with that. No, that looks centered. So now we can left, right, and both. And you can see it is expanding a little bit more in one direction than the other. It's not quite perfectly centered, but it's good enough for a quick test. So now if I take our template and I bring it right to the top, you can see that it's happening behind. And now if I come up to our composition settings and set the background to black, we can see exactly what it would look like. And there's one thing I haven't covered yet, and that is that the color white doesn't have to be white. So if you animate something to be perfect white, in software, so in our software, white can be anything. So that allows the user, when somebody gets some glasses or any of other elements or whatever, whether it has a remote or not, that color can be controlled remotely. I won't get into it, but all it means is that white allows you to do other things as well. So all I'm gonna do here is just preview it. It looks great. So now I need to export it. So I'll go File, Export. And our software uses image sequences. So I'm gonna add to render queue, and then output mode, I'm gonna use PNG sequence. If you don't have that one as an option, you just go into Make Template, and then you go down here to Edit, and you can drop down to PNG sequence, okay, and then you can save that. But of course, I already have it, so I don't have to. So I'm just gonna come up here and select PNG sequence and tell it where I want it to save it. So I wanna save it to my desktop. And we're gonna call it, geez, I don't even know. Let's call it Center Out. And now we just hit render. Done. So now we have an animation ready to go. So I'm going to close out of this guy and go into our software. So here's our software here, but our software doesn't even know these glasses. So now that we've got a picture that shows where all these LEDs are in space, we need to tell our software what area of that picture represents what pixel on these glasses. And our software allows us to do that very easily. All I do is come up to Device, Port, select the port of these glasses, which is 120. And just like that, I can come up and add an LED with the spacebar, and one light comes on. So now I take the animation we just made, so the center out animation, open it up here, just click and drag onto our software, and it's going to appear. And because we have a white layer, I'm also going to click and drag the exact same thing into Compute, and that's going to allow us to do the crazy color accurate stuff. So now I just zoom in on this file. We look for, we're gonna have to find a space where, a frame where all the LEDs are on so we can see our pixels. So frame 15, actually, yeah, because it's one left then them both. So frame 75 is gonna have all pixels on. And now we start placing our LEDs. So our first LED is gonna go here. And then when I press spacebar, it's gonna jump to the next LED. Next one is here. Spacebar, next one. Spacebar, next one. So now I'm just gonna work my way around this, showing the software where every pixel is on the software. So let's do that now. And that's the last pixel. So when I press spacebar, it should disappear. Done. So now that we've got everything mapped, we're ready to actually create the animation file. So there's a couple things to do. First is I may have slightly mentioned vaguely that this can beat to the music. So it's designed to work with a remote control so that you can, with the remote in your hand, not only control color, but beat to the music. In order to do that, the animations or the software needs to know where the beat is in the animation. So where the most exciting part of the animation is, which for this animation is going to be when an eye is full, when the other eye is full, and when both eyes are full. So when all pixels are on. So to do that, we just go over to the beat tab here, and I made my animation so that it's on beat 15. So I'm just going to navigate through to frame 15, and this one's all full. So now I just add a beat. So make sure I'm in the beat tab, press spacebar, there's my first beat. And then we go into the second one, which is going to be frame 45. And just like so, on frame 45, all of the pixels are on. So we're going to press spacebar, and the last one should be 75. So at frame 75, there we go, they're full, press spacebar. So now we've got all of our beats set, and we've got all of our LEDs set. So it knows where the beats are, it knows where the LEDs are. Lastly, I mentioned that the white can be any color. To do that, I just go Window and Color Keys. And then all I do is make sure that white, so red full, green full, and blue full, is set to on. So that way, white isn't white anymore, white is on. So whatever a remote is telling it to be, it's gonna just do whatever the remote says. So that's great, we can close out of that window. And the last thing we have to do is adjust for speed. So if it's playing without a remote, we have to tell it how fast to run. And the default for something with this number of pixels on it should be somewhere around 90. So that's it. Now we're ready to export. So I can just go File, Export, and I just tell it what I want it to be. So let's do 90, which is the speed. So 90, and then I think we called it center out. So 90 center out, and there we have it. So now it's done. So now that we've saved that SD card, saved that file, all we have to do is pop an SD card in and put all of those files onto the memory card, as well as just quickly change a couple of color settings so that it doesn't show up as white, but green, because me. So let's quickly grab an SD card and get into that. I've got a whole whack of them here. Here we go, got a brand new empty SD card. So now we're going to take all of our animations, including the one that we just made right there, click and drag them onto the file, onto the SD card. And let's check out this config file. Okay, so brightness is max. We do not need that. I'm indoors and trying to record it with the camera, so we don't need to blow out the camera. Fan speed doesn't matter. That's for helmets and things. These don't have any fans. Color, 255, 255, 255 is white. We don't want white. Let's do like an acid green, which is like 60, 255, 0. Instead of sequential, let's go random. And that's just gonna pick one of our animations at random to play. And then lastly, we need to make sure that the new animation that we just made is one of the ones it'll pick from. So let's make, instead of having spiral heart appear twice, let's make number 8 our 90 center out, so our new animation. And that's that. So we can save it, close out of that, and eject the SD card. And then all that's left to do is remove this red data cable, and we're going to replace it with a magnetic cable so that you can just connect it and disconnect it magnetically. So just makes it super easy to put it on, and it's just kind of a cool add-on, as well as pop the SD card in. So it's kind of fiddly to do on camera, so I'm going to do it off camera. And now the SD card's in, we've got the magnetic connection, so we can literally just snap it on and we're good to go. Throw them on, tuck the cable behind your ear, and it's out of the way and you can forget about it. I'm so stoked with how these came together. And there's the animation that we just made together. Look at that, timing's working out perfectly. So yeah, we've got it fully loaded, fully ready to go, and I'm ready to take these out into public. So a friend of ours has a big birthday party. I won't say the exact number, but it's one of those like milestone years. So we're gonna head out and have a big bash with her, and we're going all out for it. So not only did I make the glasses, I also went full green matching hair, and we've got a couple other special extras in store that our friend isn't aware of. So we'll have some fun throwing that together too. But enough from me. It's time for me to go party, and I will take you along for the ride. I expect it will be very loud, so expect some type. That's all I got. Emergency exit here, and it's loud again. Wow. So that's how I made these. To be honest, I'm kind of missing all the earrings. Obviously, they were either magnetic or snap-on. I didn't commit that that deeply in all my stick-on tattoos. Although I gotta say, I really did like the ladybug behind the ear. So drop a comment if you think I should do that for real. Next video, I'll probably be a brunette again. It's already starting to grow in the roots. But that's all I got for this video. If there's a certain shape you think that I should make, I'm thinking about maybe doing like a triangle one. And if you invert the triangles inside each other, it's a Triforce. So I kind of love the idea of that. If you think there's a shape that would come off really cool, drop them in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.